Hi everybody, this is John Agee and I'm here to talk about Little Santa. Little Santa is a book that Scallywag Press is publishing this fall. It's the story of how Santa Claus began, his childhood. And the story for me began like so many stories in a very rough dummy. This is the original book for Little Santa. And for me, it was the first line of the book that made me think, oh, this is actually a really good story. Actually, this was one line. In a little cabin in the North Pole lived Mr. and Mrs. Claus and their son, Santa. But that wasn't the line. The line that really made me think, this is the good story, was this one. In the North Pole, in a little cabin, lived Mr. and Mrs. Claus and their 7 children, Larry, Mary, Zoe, Joey, Willie, Billy, and Santa. To me, that summed up the fish out of water scene, or situation, that all the children in the family had familiar names except for one. And I thought also, I figured, hey, if you lived in the North Pole, life would be rough up there. It would be not the easiest thing. In fact, it's tough in the North Pole. You see everybody has to chop wood and go ice fishing, and it's just miserable. And nobody's happy except for Little Santa. So that was the premise of the book, and let me read it to you. Okay, here is the story of Little Santa. All right. There he is, waking up, getting into his little onesie, his sleepy little dog over here. Okay. He's stepping out to say hello. Oh, he's got mittens, little red mittens. Okay. In the North Pole, in a little cabin, lived Mr. and Mrs. Claus and their 7 children, Larry, Mary, Willie, Millie, Joey, Zoe, and Santa. We'll make this like a movie. Oh, yeah. Okay. Life was tough in the North Pole. Every day there was more wood to be chopped, more snow to be shoveled, another fish to be caught, a quilt to be mended, and a fire to be stoked. The Clauses were miserable. Except for Santa. He loved the North Pole. He liked making snow angels and snowmen, decorating pine trees, and baking gingerbread cookies in the shape of people. Most of all, he liked sliding down the chimney. Whoop! His mother's not too crazy about that. So, when the Clauses decided to move to Florida, Santa was very sad. Won't you miss all the pine trees and the icicles and the miles and miles of snow? No, Santa, they said, we won't. See, his father has his brochure on Florida. That night, as everyone packed, there was a terrible blizzard. That's the wind. The next morning, the house was buried under a huge snowdrift. The Clauses were trapped. See, there's their chimney. Smoke coming up, right? What are we going to do? Said Mrs. Claus. I know, said Santa. I can shimmy up the chimney. All right. You don't want to open your door and see all that snow. That doesn't happen in England. So, Mr. and Mrs. Claus gave Santa some food and some snowshoes and sent him to get help. Take care, little Santa. Be a good boy. Don't talk to strangers. After a long walk, there he is, he's walked over that hill and this hill, and now he's come to this strange-looking thing sticking up out of the snow. He came to a little branch. Ho, 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 said little Santa. You must be the top of a tall tree. No, said a voice. I'm a very cold reindeer. Wow.
Santa dug the reindeer out of the snow. Gosh, said the reindeer, what are you doing out here? Santa told the reindeer about his family. Hop on my back, said the reindeer. We'll look for help. Okay. Gee whiz, said Santa. You're a really special reindeer. On a tall bluff, they saw a house. A light was on inside. Stop here, said Santa. Whoa, said Santa. The reindeer landed and Santa slid down the chimney. See, he's a big slider of chimneys, yeah. Very talented that way. The house, he slides down this chimney and he gets inside. What does he see? The house was full of elves. Holy snowflake, said the oldest one. Who are you? Santa introduced himself and told the elves about his family. We can help, said the elf. We'll make shovels so we can dig them out of the snow. See, there's a lot of elves here. Lots of tools. Yes. Yes, things they'll need to make shovels. There you go. In no time at all, the shovels were made. Now, Santa, said the elf, how will we get to your house? I've got a flying reindeer, said Santa. Wow, said the elf. And do you have a sleigh as well? What's a sleigh, said Santa. Well, said the elf. I guess we'll build you one. And they go ahead and very stylish looking piece of architecture there. Santa helps out too. Okay. The next morning it was finished. Santa hooked up the reindeer and everybody climbed aboard. Ready, said the reindeer. Ready, said Santa. Off they went to look for Santa's house. Far away, the Clauses were waiting for Santa to return. Oh, it's very, very ominous. Look at them all, very sad. Mother, father, sisters, brothers, dog, waiting near the fireplace. It was almost midnight when the dog heard a familiar noise coming down from the chimney. Could it be? Ho, 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 said Santa. I'm home. The Clauses were overjoyed, but there was more noise coming from... Here's the Clauses. They're all so happy. Yes, they're hugging their little child, soot on his outfit. Brothers and sisters, everybody's very excited. But there was more noise coming from just outside. Santa opened the door. Look, he said. Look, everybody. These are my new friends. Welcome, said Santa's family. The elves and the reindeer, and they had dug the Clauses out of their house. Well, it was a good year in the North Pole. The Clauses and the elves spent lots of time together, and life wasn't as tough as it was before. But when winter came, Santa's family decided to move to Florida after all. Oh, can you believe that? Oh, sorry, Santa, we just can't hack it up here anymore. But we'll write you. Every week we'll write you a letter. Santa, he stayed behind with his dog, right? And you know the rest of the story. There you go. That's Little Santa by me. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.
When I'm developing a story, I'm also working on the characters. And in Little Santa, I had to figure out what he was going to look like. I ended up with a little boy in a little onesie outfit, little red outfit with a little spike on the hat. There he is getting into his outfit. So there, I figured if you can see this, Santa, pretty straightforward. He was going to be smiling. He's a very happy kid. Looks a little bit like a creature from another planet there. But when you paint his outfit red, he's there. He has a little bit of, he's a baby fat. There he is. There. And maybe he should have a scarf too, right? Don't you think? I didn't give him a scarf. But this is very warm. This is polar fleece, yeah. And his parents, that was important to make the rest of the family look not terribly happy. His father had a sort of big nose and a mustache, kind of serious, you know. They're not the best posture. His mother was very worried. How are we going to make it through another winter? There she is. Oh, little Santa. There's his mom and dad, right? Yeah. And then all the brothers and sisters, none of them were very happy kids. Here's his teenage brother. Can't we leave the North Pole? Why do we have to stay in the North Pole, Dad? Come on. Let's move south. Here's his sister. Dad, can we go? This is so boring up here. Really? We don't have any good Wi-Fi. But little Santa, he loves it. He loves it there. There he is. Where is he? Ta-da! Okay. You get the idea where this story's going. Thank you.